right. Hello, friends. Welcome back to DSR channel week 7. We're just over halfway through the week, and we are continuing this build I did for a Skirmisher Whispers Bard. And so this is part 2. We're going levels 10 to 20. And yeah, so on Tuesday, I was at 184. Today, 276. Amazing, y'all. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone who has subscribed or liked or commented. Especially constructive criticism, with a real intent to help. I love that. All day long, hit me with it. Love feedback. All right. And as a reminder, we're continuing this build. I created 2 personas for it, Morana Nocturne. Morana is Slavic for the goddess of death, right? And Nocturne is music based on the night. So very fitting. Sorin the Craven. Sorin is Slavic for stern or strict, which I think is perfect for him. And then Craven, triple meaning for that one, which I think is cool. All right, and this is the whole build, video done. Just kidding. All right, but this is the rest of the build. This is everything I didn't show in the part 1, and it's actually your build decisions after level 5, because there's no decisions at 6, 7, unless you count spells, right? That's different. 6, 7, and then level 8 is another feat that you get. And the feat we're going to choose is ability score increase with a +2 for charisma, okay? Because we want to get that to 20 as fast as we can. All of our spells are going to be based on that. Spell save DC is going to be based on that. And our attack stat, or our primary attack stat for our attacks, is going to be based on that. Level 9, we get expertise. I'm choosing insight and stealth just to really lean further into being able to manipulate people, infiltrate on both sides, right? Figuring people out and then sneaking around. Level 10, magical secrets. So this is just spell choices, which I'm skipping over most spell choices. A lot of the spells is just pick your favorite. You're still a great bard. You have 20 charisma, so choose your healing spells, choose your support spells. If there's not a controller in the party, get some control spells. Great. The problem, though, is that at level 10, we're really going to lean into our magical secrets. We want to be, and this is when we really take off as a skirmisher. All right, so first up, we want the shield spell, okay? We are going to stop using kinetic jaunt. We're going to use haste. And so we're going to provoke more opportunity attacks. Now we're going to have a pretty good spell save DC. So hopefully they get frightened by our wrathful smite. So they're going to have disadvantage to attack us. But if they manage to land it, you're going to use shield to try to block it, right? We want to prevent any chances that we're going to lose concentration, because with the haste spell, it's got a lot of goodies for us. But also, if we lose concentration on it, we have that 1 round of lethargy. Lethargy? Lethargy. And the haste spell, it's okay that it takes our action to cast it, because on the turn you cast it, you still get the hasted action. So we're still going to get our 1 attack. Now that can't be a spell casting of a cantrip, because you can't take the magic action as one of your options. So that's just going to be a regular attack. We can't use True Strike. So that means we're going to be using our dexterity, which is a +3 instead of a +5. But hey, 1 attack at +3 is better than nothing by far, right? And for us, it's just our main thing is not actually the attacks themselves. It's we got to land at least 1 attack per round so we can trigger our most potent feature, which is Psychic Blades, okay? So, yeah, between these 2 things, round 1, you cast haste. You attack with a hasted action. Round 2, now you use your regular action to cast True Strike as a cantrip, and you use your hasted action still to attack again, which is, if you land both, great. You at least want to land 1 so you can trigger your Psychic Blades and Wrathful Smite. So for future levels, you can only get really 2 magical secrets per level, starting at 10. So maybe at future levels, 2 things to consider. One is guidance, the guidance spell. It's a great spell to have, very versatile, very useful. If no one in your party has it, you might want to use one of your magical secrets to get that. But if somebody already has it, it's probably not worth investing a magical secret on it. But let's talk about Control Flames. You may seriously want to consider this one. First up, some of the criticisms I've seen online, a lot of people, I don't think I've ever seen anybody use this spell. I love it, and I've seen people bash it online because Prestidigitation also puts out torches and small campfires, and it does other things. So why would I ever get Control Flames and not Prestidigitation? First up, Prestidigitation has a range of 10 feet. Control Flames, range of 60, okay? A torch sheds bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light 20 feet beyond that, so a total of 40 feet, okay? To get in range of Prestidigitation, you got to walk through 30 feet of light, hopefully somehow maintaining your stealth. And I don't know, how does your DM handle if you just walk into bright light in plain view of the enemy, most DMs will say you're immediately spotted. So I don't know how you would ever get close enough to use prestidigitation to the light source, right? Okay. Also, Control Flames has an area effect of 5 feet. It's a 5-foot cube, which is a lot bigger than a small campfire. That is a full-size bonfire. So that's better too. Secondarily, Prestidigitation has 2 spell components, verbal and somatic. Control Flames, only somatic. And if you look at the rules on the hide action and being hidden, if you succeed, it's automatically broken if you cast a spell with a verbal component. So if you are hiding, you successfully stealth, even if you've gotten within 10 feet of the light source, as soon as you cast this spell, Prestidigitation, it's going to automatically end your hide, right? You're no longer hidden. Control Flames, only somatic. So you can cast it while hidden, and from 60 feet away. Plus, I just love the thematic synergy with these two, or this one character build with these 2 themes, where imagine you're the guards, and down at the end of the corridor, suddenly the lantern goes out, and then the next lantern, and then the next lantern, and then the next lantern, right? By the time the last lantern goes out and those guys are in the dark, they're quaking in their boots, you may not even have to fight them. You just go boo, and they run away. So I love this energy. I think this is a great spell. I think more people should use it. Level 12, Mage Slayer. Now, I know I said Skirmisher, we're going to go all damage all the time, but we've got to be practical, okay? This is the practical build. And level 12 is a long time to go with only a +0 to our wisdom saving throws. Now, I would definitely spend some of my uncommon magic items on getting a Cloak of Protection to boost that. Every +1 helps. I love Cloak of Protection. I know it's boring, but guess what? It's easy to use. It automatically applies to everything that it needs to on your character sheet. You don't have to think about it, remember any additional actions or gotchas with it. It just happens. And it's solid. It's a solid buff. I like it. Concentration Breaker. If you've got to assassinate some sort of spellcaster, this is good to have, right? Concentration Breaker. So it's still, a bit of an offensive feat. So that's great. But depending on your party composition, maybe you don't need it. You got a strong support healer person in the party, and they're making sure that you're not subjected to fear and frightened and charm. I guess that's redundant. Frightened and charm conditions and other things. So maybe you don't need it. So then you go at level 12, go Weapon Master at level 12 and do something else at level 16. And Weapon Master this is great because we're going to take Dagger for it. So it gets us the Nick property, and you can switch it on a long rest, right? So, but you really want Nick. You need something with Nick. And that's because we can't use our light weapon extra attack when we use True Strike to make an attack, right? Because True Strike is not the attack action. True Strike is the magic action to cast a spell, and it just has an attack as part of it, okay? So we're going to use our regular action for True Strike, and our hasted action is still an attack action, which triggers the light weapon property extra attack. And if we have Nick, that moves that extra attack into our action. So that means our regular action, True Strike, our hasted action, 1 attack, then our offhand attack as part of that same action. So now we've made 3 attacks, still leaving our bonus action free for Wrathful Smite, right? So now we've got 3 chances as part of our actions to land an attack, and then we still get our Wrathful Smite. That's what we're going for, and that's why we want Nick. And, the main thing is we want to make sure we land at least 1 attack, but every attack that lands is still more damage. So that's good. Level 17, Foresight, okay? This is perfect for our build, okay? Every D20 test we make has advantage. So every ability check, every saving throw, every attack roll, right? All 3 of our attack rolls are advantage all the time. 24, well, not 24/7, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And every attack against us has disadvantage, which is nice because now we no longer have to take the chance with the frightened condition from our Wrathful Smite. Some creatures are immune, and sometimes they're going to make that save. So now we don't even have to be concerned with that. They're just going to always have disadvantage to attack us. Great. Perfect for our build. And finally, Boon of Combat Prowess. Okay. This is going to be an awesome Skirmisher build. So now we just are guaranteed at least one of our 3 attacks, 2 to 3 attacks per turn, are definitely going to land, right? And we already have advantage, so we have a very, very high chance of just landing all 3. Great. And that leaves us at a dexterity of 18 and a charisma of 21. Pretty good place to sit. This is your basic default combat loop, right? If you have a better idea for something specific that you know is better in this situation that you need to do, then do that. Otherwise, do this, okay? So your regular action, you'll cast haste on the first round of combat, and every other round of combat, True Strike with a dagger. Then your hasted action will be attack with a dagger, and when you have Nick, your extra attack with the offhand dagger will also happen during the hasted action. Then your bonus action, if you're lower level, don't have Nick yet, is attack with an offhand dagger if you've missed with both of your previous attacks. If you haven't missed, then your bonus action is Wrathful Smite. And Wrathful Smite is a verbal component spell only, so you can cast that and True Strike while having both hands full. Great. So, and remember, the very first hit that triggers, or sorry, very first hit that lands, you want to trigger Psychic Blades and Wrathful Smite. And by level 15, by level 15, if you add both of these, that's 16d6 damage you're adding to the attack. 16d6. Now it's all psychic. So if the monster is resistant or immune, you definitely don't want to waste these on that. But if they're not resistant or immune to psychic damage, 16d6 damage. Kablam! And of course, reactions, you've got your shield that you should be using all the time if you need to escape. Make sure you don't get hit. But then otherwise, silvery barbs, and I'm not going to redo the whole soapboxing on silvery barbs. I made a clip out of that so you can watch it, send it to your DM, convince them that you should be allowed to use silvery barbs too. And like I mentioned before, maybe controversial. I know everybody else doesn't use magic items when they're doing higher level builds. This is right out of the 2024 Player's Handbook. When you start at higher levels, you should have these magic items at least, plus this money. And if your DM hasn't given you at least this many magic items, I think you have a complaint, right? Submit a complaint to your DM. Be like, hey, it's been a year. I need a very rare item. So I'm going to build at these levels. So in tier 2, you get 1 uncommon magic item. At tier 3, you've got 3 uncommons and 1 rare. And in tier 4, you've got 4 uncommons, 3 rare, 1 very rare. So I'm putting that right into these builds, okay? So level 10, we've got a dagger plus 1. We've only got the 1 uncommon level item. And you can see the combat loop there. And basically, it's the same thing I've already described. And you're just going to use, unless it's the turn you cast haste, and then you can't cast a Wrathful Smite with a spell slot, you're going to use, sometimes your free casting of the level 1. As long as that's not the case, you're going to use the highest level spell slot you possibly can on Wrathful Smite, unless you're sure that you don't need it to kill the creature, right? Don't waste higher level spell slots if you're already pretty sure it's going to die without it. Okay. So, and that's the same, it just goes the same thing all the way down, right? That's the same strategy the whole way. So it's just same combat loop, same approach to it, right? Hasted action, cast haste first round, then it's hasted action, attack. And when you have Nick, hasted action, offhand attack, and bonus action is always Wrathful Smite. So you have a very, very high chance, especially once you get Foresight, very, very high chance to land at least one of those 3 attacks, if not all 3. Okay, you're going to have a very high chance to land all 3. And you can see in tier 3, I upgraded to a +2 dagger and a +1 dagger, keeping it simple, but you really, really want those things to land. Now, once we get to tier 4 and we've got Foresight and like that relatively permanent advantage, plus Boon of Combat Prowess at level 20, I switched out the offhand dagger from a +1 to a vicious dagger, right? It's going to have not as quite a high of a chance to hit, but we already got the advantage. Plus, if that's the one that misses, we can just say, never mind, it hits anyway because of combat prowess. And that's going to do more damage than it would have done otherwise because the vicious property adds like 7 average damage, which is better than the +3 dagger. So we're going to be using a dagger +3 in our main hand and a vicious dagger in our offhand. And I added all that into the calculations. And you can see in tier 2, at the end of tier 2, we're doing 28.99 DPR, damage per round. At the end of tier 3, we're doing 46.06. That's pretty good. And tier 4, at the end of level 20, 60.27 DPR. These are solid DPR numbers, right? So in tier 1, you're going to start off kind of towards the low end of skirmisher damage, but that's okay. You still qualify. You're good enough. But by the time you finish, your damage is awesome, right? Awesome. And you're still a full spellcaster, right? You're a bard. You've got all kinds of support spells, healing spells, buff spells, control spells, and you can't even possibly spend all of your spell slots on Wrathful Smite, right? I just calculated it, 8 of them? I think 8 of them, right, are spent on Wrathful Smites. No, it has to be 6. 6 spell slots spent on Wrathful Smite because of that casting haste on the first turn of combat. You can't cast Wrathful Smite with a spell slot. So at most, we're only spending like 6 of our spell slots on Wrathful Smite. And even if you back off that 7th and 8th level spell slots, that's not going to hurt your damage very much. It's like a very small difference to your damage. So, no problem. Save those for other things if you really want to. And this is a great build, right? Going to be a ton of fun. You're still a great face of the party. You've got all these great spells. You're going to be great as a healer, great as support. You're just an awesome character, right? You're doing everything, helping everyone, and kicking butt with damage. Great build. So, all right, thanks everybody for watching, and let me know. I did a different music for the intros and outros, and I also reduced the volume. So let me know if I got the volume mix better this time, and tell me what you think about the music. I went a little bit more chill at the request of some people. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.